Yo, what is up everyone, Z-Karma here, and welcome back to another boring math video here in Borderlands 3. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Hydrafrost pistol, and this is a COV pistol that was introduced with the second DLC called Guns, Love, and Tentacles. This pistol is one of the better ones in the entire game. Its fast fire rate combined with the fact that it has a very decent base damage makes it an absolute monster. And what I'm going to focus on in this breakdown is going to be the special effect that it has. After a kill, every second shot deals 200% shock or incendiary damage for 6 seconds. Now what this means is that every time you get a kill, if you keep shooting, every other shot will deal either 200% shock or incendiary. And just so you know, once you do shock, you can't combine with incendiary, so it's basically one or the other for the entirety of the 6 seconds. So let me show you just a quick little example here. We're going to kill an enemy and then show you the damages that we're going to be outputting. So we're going to kill this little guy right there, then we're going to shoot this way. As you can see, second shot, that's shock. Every second shot is shock damage for the entire 6 seconds. Let's try that again. And let's shoot here. That's flesh. There you go. Incendiary. There you go. Every second shot, incendiary for all of the 6 seconds. And now, it does say that those shots will deal 200% damage. Keep in mind, this is not extra damage. It just basically means that we're going to do double the damage as either of these elements. But the fact of the matter is, we're actually only getting 125% damage. So let's do the math with both elements before we go out there and show you the damage output. So our base damage is 901 times 4, which is 3604, but the game shows 3605, so let's stick with 3605. Now in order to calculate this 200%, we multiply that by 2 and then multiply by the damage multiplier of the element. So for shock it's 0.65 and for incendiary against flesh is 1.75. So if it was 200%, we would be doing 4,686.5 shock damage and 12,617.5 incendiary damage. But we're only doing 125% damage instead of 200%. So basically we get the 3605 multiplied by 1.25 and then multiply by the element multipliers. So for shock against flesh, once again 0.65. For incendiary against flesh, 1.75. We end up getting 2,929 shock damage and 7,886 incendiary. So let's go ahead and get a kill. And then check for these bonuses. First shot, second shot. Oh, there you go. 2929. There we go. As you can see, our shock damage is giving us 2,929, which means that we're only getting 125% instead of 200%. So now let's try for incendiary. Let's get this guy and see if we can do it. There you go. Really quickly. Thank goodness. 7,886. Do you guys know how long it took me to finally do this off recording? So the fact that I did it on my first try with recording, that's awesome. Anyways, 7,886 flesh damage, which means, again, that we're only doing 125% instead of 200%. Which, in my humble opinion, is not a big deal because this weapon is still an absolute monster, but 200% sounds like a better deal here because you're either going to do shock, incendiary, or cryo damage at any given time. So you don't really have the option to match elements here. It's going to be all random. So I think 200% would make this a far better option. So my guess is that the text is actually wrong and it has to be 125%. But I might be wrong. This might be right and we're actually doing less damage than intended. But who knows? And the final question that I'm going to answer in today's video is if this effect can stack. And what I found was that the effect can only stack twice and it's not calculated exactly like you would think. So there's two possible scenarios here. The first one is if our first kill gives us shock and the second gives us fire, or vice versa. So when this happens, the shots will alternate between each other, so every other shot would be fire and every other shot would be shock. That means that cryo damage is out of the picture here, so we will only alternate between shock and fire for the next 6 seconds. And now the second scenario is where the calculations differ. So let's say our first kill gives a shock, and our second kill also stacks shock. What happens here is that every other shot will do shock damage, but this time, there will be a diminishing return on the second stack. Let's take our earlier test for example. We were doing 29 shock damage. Now with the second stack on top of that, if we were to have 2 stacks of shock damage, we will only get a 25% increase from this number. So our 29 with a 25% increase, that is 3,661. And that's the damage that we would do with 2 stacks. Same concept goes here if we get 2 stacks of incendiary damage. So with incendiary damage, we were doing 7,886 with 1 stack. And with 2 stacks, it would go up to 9,858. Because once again, you only get a 25% increase on top of that. If anyone wants to test this for themselves, you can go fight Scrap Trap Prime. I basically killed like 10 scrap traps within like 2 seconds, and I was still only getting 2 stacks, whether it be 2 fire, 2 shock, or 1 and 1. So there you go guys, that is how this weapon works. You get a kill, then you get 125% damage as shock or incendiary for 6 seconds, and you could stack it twice and get both elements stacked, interchanging between each other for the next 6 seconds. Or you can stack the same element and the second stack will give you a 25% increase on top of the first stack. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video or found it helpful in some way. And if you did, please don't forget to hit that like button for me and subscribe for more Borderlands 3 content. Hope y'all have an awesome rest of your day and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.